Welcome back to Tao of Twang. I'm Dave. So we've got kind of a pop rock feel, I guess, on this one a little bit more. And, considering my age, I guess, let's give that a little context. When I was out on the West Coast, this was from the late 90s to the late 2000s. I did a lot of playing for singer-songwriter type talent during that time, and things that were real popular then in Los Angeles and other places, I'm sure, were Ryan Adams, Sheryl Crow, Nancy Griffith. And I liked that sound because it was very Telecaster, type stuff, right? And it really featured. It was really country, flavors put into this kind of Tom Petty structure previous to that, and so forth, Fleetwood Mac and stuff. So that was kind of I guess that's my synopsis of the '90s singer-songwriter situation out there, and that's what working musicians, like me, did. That was that was the work that we could get. Is play in these showcases and CD release parties and things like that. Along with our other jobs that we did to allow us to keep being musicians out there. Um, so when I've listened back to this, I was like, oh, this is kind of I'm do my own throwback to that time or whatever. I like this feel. It's just an easy feeling, laid back groove, And so we got an A minor to C, G. Take a guess. Yep. D. Okay. So there's a anticipation, in that groove, right? Kind of happens twice, right? It goes from the A minor to the C. It's anticipated the C, and then the same. You kind of start back on the beat more on the G. And that's just a nice little rhythm to be familiar with. And it works well. It's just kind of 4 chord, turnaround type arrangements. So what I did in that intro was I just kind of let myself go, really, and we're not going to go note for note on that. And I'll have another video of that backing track for you on here, along with this lesson for you to jam over. And so I just want to take you through like a few of these little moves. They're just ideas, and you can really, the way I'm going to present this, hopefully, will allow you to embellish them in different ways and so forth. But I'm going to show you sort of like the skeletal version of these. And one, we're not going to, pick apart every kind of chord tone and everything about it. You can just treat them as licks and ideas. But I want to point out a few things about it. And one of them is that the 9, the extension, the of the chords is featured a lot. Okay, and the simplest way to look at that, I think, or at least one way, is it's just the note in the scale above the root of whatever chord you're on. So if it's G, it's A, right? If it's A minor, it's B, right? Now, since I mentioned the scale, we're actually in G with this piece, okay? If you just look at the bass notes, there's a few different candidates for what key it is, right? It kind of looks like C, A minor, C, and that's a good guess. But when we actually really want that, when we go to that F sharp, okay? And that's what lets us know that our key signature really is G. And so the A minor is treated more as a Dorian version of A minor. Right? Other than that, it resembles a lot of minor pentatonic and so forth. So let's jump into a few of these licks, and we're just going to break down a few of them. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but I'll get you, some ideas and some foothold to where you can start going through this progression and really have some fun. So let's see where we are. Up at the top. Okay. I just like that sound. Sometimes these tunes would be there, turn that off. A little bit more up tempo. So I like to keep things in a tempo where we can really unpack them and look at the stuff, right? So what I did, the first chord is A minor. I went. Now that's just a lot of kind of pentatonic sound, really. But that not like we just mentioned the next note of. So if that's A, there's a nice little A minor. Right? Ones you might not be as familiar with. So when I slide that up there, I'm hitting the 10 and 10 and 12 and 12. I'm going to the 9 of that A minor, and then up there to the 5th of it, E, right? And all of these notes have so much in common with C, you almost don't have to account for very much going from the A minor to the C, right? And that, of course, is part of just a C position right there. Then I just slide kind of back up into that fuller C triad. Now I hit a 9 of the C. Now that time I'm only changing the high E string, right? So I leave this as that G note, the 5th of the C, and I hammer from the root to the 9. That's a nice, little shape that's always there with major triads, right? So I got. Then I might do something like that. It's like almost like a major pentatonic for C, hitting the 5 to the 6 to the 1. And then I went. Okay, so now this is the next chord. So we went through the A minor and the C. Then now we're G and D, right? The next two chords. So the G, I'm just hammering onto from 2 below, from 10 to 12 onto the 3rd of the G, right? And I've got the 5th up there already. But see what's happening? This note is the 9th of G. Then I just go to a portion of that basic G shape. And this is kind of like, think of it just as a scale. If I just did that on one string. whatever the melody is. So when I harmonize that with other scale notes from the same scale on the adjacent string, you don't have to, analyze all of this, and you'll get used to these shapes. Okay. Now I end up on I'm going from the G. That one's just happens to be little pieces of that D triad. Okay. And then I went up to here. When I first started making that intro, I didn't do that, but I was like, hey, is there something I can do with the ninth on that D? And I was like, what's the ninth? It's that E note. So I thought, you know what? I'll just go back up there and, kind of harmonize it and see what happens. And I like that because you get this other note in here that's not really a chord tone of the D, but it sounds nice as a kind of a note that leads back into the A minor. It's a flat 7 of the A minor. So I'm pointing these things out not because you need to like stop what you're doing all the time and do all of that, right? But it's just interesting, right? That all of this is going on in these simple shapes. So now we've got okay. So let's try that with the track real quick. Then I'll show you another grouping and then we'll get you to the loop. Okay. So there's a couple of times through that kind of main frame of those riffs. And honestly, I think you could almost just stop right there. Like go to the practice loop, you know, get that one down, watch, go over that part of the video, till you have that down. And then just kind of, you notice at the end of the second one, I just kind of played it kind of a major pentatonic kind of lick for the C and then for the D as well, or for the G, I'm sorry. Right? And if you go out of tune on a note, just start jiggling it like that. Hopefully you get away with it. So, then you can really start to have some fun, right? And you start to see like, okay, I'm seeing the shapes of the chords and the caged things and stuff, and then just kind of go back and say like, all right, what's some kind of simpler, more legato things I can do along with those double stops and stuff, just some um, uh, uh, melodies and bends and things, okay, and then one other part of the neck I want to talk to you about real quick, just because I did it in the intro, and I think it's another good kind of way to look into your chords, and you can do this really off of kind of bar chords. On the at one point I went down and I just kind of started here. I think the last time around in the intro demonstration. And so I'm just picking out, a triad for that A minor. I'm kind of picking it out, just making a broader kind of feel of the looser. And then I thought, "Oh, I didn't put my 9 in there," whatever, and I thought, "Okay, I could." Right. There's a 9 there for the A minor. And I kinda let that go, but when I went to the C, I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna." I put that 9 in there. Now sometimes this is called the crowded house chord, right? Right, that's like a sus2 sound, but that's, um, the 9 of that C, and that's just a way to kinda color that, so yeah, isn't that a nice, just simple shapes? Now, to get the 9 in there for my D, I just lift that. I take away it's actually a suspension because I'm taking away the third, right, the major third, and replacing it with a 9, the second degree. Taking that one, changing it. And so this is almost like kind of composing a second guitar part. If you have two guitars on a recording or in the band for this style, right? You can do something like this. That makes sense. I kind of put when I started that last passage there, I played a lot of single note stuff, and it wasn't bad. I could feel it, but I was missing that other dimension. Like there's not enough things overlapping, right? There's too many single notes for this style in that. So then when I went back to that uh, double stop stuff, it just felt so much more. It just had more bite, right? And don't discount the single note stuff, but you start mixing this stuff in and make a nice kind of back and forth with it and stuff. You want to have both things going on a little bit. And this is just something we can simply remind ourselves of, like, oh, I like what I'm doing on this piece. But maybe I need to take the time to stop and work out a couple little harmonized parts for it or something, right? And you can just use those basic scale theories and so forth that we just looked at to do that. And a lot of times you can, really double up on your two high strings and slide back and forth and stuff. And if it feels good and it sounds good, it's all good. And if you don't know which one's the 6 and the 9, forget about it, right? Don't worry about it. Okay? Hope you enjoy this one. Thanks for all the support. Talk to you soon.